Pay to win. That is a hot topic, especially in the multiplayer online gaming space, and for good reason. Predatory monetization practices can oftentimes completely destroy a game, which leads to destroying the reputation of the studio. Eastern games are known to not have the most, I guess, favorable monetization practices as viewed by Western players. KanonXO, a fantastic creator here on YouTube as well as on Twitch, went directly to Chrono Studio to ask them, is Chrono Odyssey going to be pay to win, or are they going to have any pay to win aspects, kind of built into the structure of the game? Now, they didn't answer very directly to all of his questions. He released a video kind of going over that entire interview that he did with them, and it's a fantastic video. I'll leave the link to that video down in the description of this one. But the short of that basically was they're not going to introduce anything into the game that's going to disrupt the balance. That was their word specifically. They are going to have a battle pass. The monetization structure will include the battle pass, but also have cosmetics, skins, social skins or emotes or something like that. And something else that they mentioned was that they are not a part of NPixel. Chrono Studio supposedly is not a subsidiary, but they are their own entity, their own legal entity, and they do not have any affiliation to NPixel, who isn't known to have the best reputation in general here in the West. So let's get right into this video and kind of see if there are any more clues that we can pinpoint, that we can draw some more conclusions, especially going into this closed beta that's coming up June 20th, I believe, to the 22nd. So we finally got a date for the Chrono Odyssey closed beta. If you have not tried to register for it, it's available through Steam. Just click, request access to the playtest. And as soon as they send out the invites, hopefully you guys get in, hopefully I get in. I know I'm excited, but let's hop right into this video.
Is Chrono Odyssey going to be pay to win? It almost seems like everything is riding on this very simple question. So what did I do?
I think that question is pretty layered. Like whenever these companies add any sort of like predatory monetization practices into their game, it's always like layered into the foundation of the actual game to where it makes it impossible for them to remove it. And then the game just ends up destroying itself, right? So yeah, but it's an important question. So thank you, Canon, once again for doing this.
Correctly, that very question. Kind of like how I did with NCSoft. Only this one was an actual one-on-one sit-down interview rather than a group Q&A. But yeah, I literally hit them up asking if I could interview the man in charge, and he said okay. No angles, no requirements, just an honest Q&A, and I was allowed to ask anything I wanted. So I did. I asked about 30-ish questions in person, including the all-important question about pay to win. This video is going to deliver you the official stance on pay to win that the Chrono team has, and if you'd like to hear the entire Q&A, be sure to sub to the channel because the full interview will be published on my YouTube channel.
I'm still waiting for this full interview. Like, I hope it has so much more information. The closed beta is coming up, so like it's not super important that we get all this information right now. It's literally like a couple of weeks away, but I would like to see what else he asked. And I think this coming from like an independent creator like Kanon is probably the most honest sort of information that we're going to get from the team. So excited either way.
For us to have a script of questions, which I wrote, of course, and read off of it to save time. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had time to get all the questions in. Having a script allowed me to ask the question and not have to waste time translating it back to him.
So having the script, like you can hear the hesitation in my voice. It's so obviously like Chrono Studio probably had to have the script too, so that they wouldn't, like he said, waste time with the translators and hopefully have enough time to ask all of his questions, right? So I get it. I get why he did it. But this also gave them time to kind of craft their responses to all of these questions. So I guess we'll see how honest they come off as, I guess.
Oh, and don't forget to follow me on Twitch. I'll be streaming a lot of Chrono content. Let's begin. Let's address the elephant in the room, the monetization. I'm going to tell you what every Western MMO player is thinking and wondering. Every single Korean company has a terrible reputation when it comes to monetization in the West.
I wouldn't say every single one,
Every single Korean
but a
MMO
lot of them,
has
yeah.
some form of pay to win. I personally went to NCSoft last year and told the lead at Throne that the overwhelming majority of Westerners saw the game as pay to win trash, and if they would consider changing it for the global audience.
By the way, if you haven't seen that video of Canon actually doing that, that was like the first time that I saw anyone, especially from like the creator realm, just go directly to the developers and give them very harsh but true criticism about their game. In the end, we saw what happened with Throne and Liberty. I still think like the game has the potential to be a fantastic game, but because of the fact that you could buy Lucent and then just buy all the items that you want in game, it kind of kills the experience for me. And the drop rates are so low even when you're like trying to farm for this stuff yourself. Like I personally don't have the time to sit there and grind for so long, but I also don't want to invest a ton of like my own money into digital items. That's just my personal opinion. I know there's people that probably are perfectly okay with that, but anyways, let's see where this goes.
Audience. His answer was that they felt like the pay to win elements in Throne were fair.
And real quick, they did acknowledge that they did have pay to win elements within Throne. So the developers here, they specifically, I think they specifically say that they will not have pay to win, but
Give it to us directly. We're all adults here. Is Chrono Odyssey going to be pay to win?
걱정하지 않으셔도 됩니다. 저희 크로노 오디세이는 페이 투 윈이 절대 없습니다. 공정한 환경을 유지하기 위해서 가장 중요한 가치로 삼고 있습니다. 현재는 코스튬에 관련된 외형만 변경하는 어떤 상품으로서 저희 DM을
all right. So no pay to win. They want to maintain the integrity of their company as developers and they want to maintain our trust. Supposedly it's only going to be costumes, cosmetic skins, I'm assuming.
설계되어 있고요. 유저가 신뢰할 수 있는 구조를 만드는 것이 저희들의 가장 중요한 우선.
I'm glad that they're focused on trust. They understand kind of the reputation that companies from the East have, I guess.
Selling cosmetics, or is there anything more to that?
비즈니스 모델은 크로노의 비즈니스 모델은 장비의 외형 변경을 하기 위한 코스튬 그리고 탈 것에 대한.
So he just mentioned changing the appearance of what was that, armor? What did he say? Changing the appearance of equipment. Okay. I don't want this to be like part of the core structure of the game. And the reason I say that is because visual progression, in my opinion, is a really, really important part of any game. Like to see the armor and the weapons change on your character and to be able to farm armor and weapons and then hopefully have like a transmog system to be able to customize your appearance even more. I really like that. And then like there's a whole collecting aspect to it. Like it just I hope that the appearance of your equipment doesn't only change whenever you purchase a skin or a costume and then your character just kind of stays looking drab almost, kind of like in Black Desert. You have to buy the costumes to make your character feel powerful. Like you could have, whatever their newest one is. Like you could have Zarka, you could have Nuver, you could have all of this really good equipment, but the appearances don't look great until you buy a costume or a skin. And I don't want that to be the same here because it takes away a lot from the gameplay.
코스튬 그리고 탈 것에 대한 코스튬 그리고.
All right, so we're gonna have mounts. Cool.
에 대한 것들만 고려하고 있습니다.
You say no pay to win. So I just want to double check and confirm here because
thank you for double checking.
I've seen a lot of loopholes that these companies
It's
will
true.
try to they'll try and say there's no pay to win, but in reality there's some kind of currency that you can buy that eventually leads to pay to win. So you're confirming that there is no pay to win straight up and the only monetization is pretty much what you've explained before?
네, 없습니다. 코스튬이나.
All right, so second time, no pay to win.
소셜한
Socially oriented content like costumes, emotes, or cosmetic goods. Okay, cool. That all sounds pretty fair.
내용이나 시장성 상품 외에는 어떠한 그 밸런스에 영향을 주는 BM 상품도 고려하지 않고 있습니다.
There's going to be a lot of people who will be insanely happy hearing this, but there's also going to be a lot of people that are just not going to believe what you're saying until they see it. Mainly
Yeah,
because
and
there have been
I don't
many
think we
companies that
should
have
blindly
said they're
put our
going to do
trust into any company. Hopefully, the closed beta will be true to the future structure of this game.
pay to win, but ended up adding it later. What do you say to those who don't believe?
다시 한번 말씀드리지만 크로노 오디세이에는 페이 투 윈
All
요소가
right,
절대
third
없습니다.
time, no pay to
게임
win.
밸런스에 영향을 미치는 그 어떤 상품도 없을 것입니다.
Now, to be fair, Chrono Studios is a brand new player in the space, and it is its own entity, not run or owned by any other company, which, by the way, is a big misconception. From my
It's I don't understand why it's a misconception. Like they had NPixel show up right in the beginning of one of the trailers for this game. Chrono Studio, to my previous understanding, is a subsidiary of NPixel, like a different team within the entire NPixel structure. So, not really sure what's happening here.
my understanding, this is a brand new team working with a new Cacao publishing team. And I feel like this is important context for people, and I want to make sure that this information is correct. Is that correct? The Chrono team, the Chrono Studios, is its own entity and it is not a subsidiary of a different company?
네, 맞습니다. 저도 이런 댓글이나 질문들을 너무
Yeah, you had NPixel like right in the beginning of your trailer.
크로노 오디세이는 엔픽셀과 엔픽셀의 자회사가 아닐 뿐더러
This has to be like a very recent change because why would you release content advertisement marketing for your game with NPixel slapped right in the beginning of it, and now you're telling us that Chrono Studio is its own entity,
엔픽셀과 이제 완전
independent company.
독립된
Okay.
회사로서 지금 개발을 진행하고 있고요. 다시 한번 말씀드리
And hey, I might be naive, like I might just not understand how subsidiaries and structures of companies work, but like I really I'm not getting great vibes here from Chrono Studio about this.
지만 저희는 엔픽셀의 자회사는 아니고 크로노 스튜디오로 완전 분리되어 있는
No, he says it right here. They're a brand new company that's been established. They're a completely independent legal entity. So if we're taking what he's saying here at face value, they're saying they were never a part of NPixel. Or maybe they were and now they're not. But he's not saying that specifically. He's just stating in present tense they are their own legal entity.
독립된 법인으로 만들어진 새로운 기업이고요. 어떠한 엔픽셀과의 연관성이 없다라는 점을 이 자리를 빌어서 한 번 더 말씀드리겠습니다.
Well, I genuinely hope that Chrono Studio sets the new standard for these MMORPGs that are coming up. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I had about 30. Be sure.
All right. Well, that was a lot to take in, and I don't know. That last portion of it really, like, I'm really skeptical about that. But putting that in there, like, really, come on, guys. I don't know. Maybe fix some of your marketing or be a little bit more clear about what happened in the past. I'll try to do some more research to find out exactly what the details are around this. But hey, we got the important question answered, and Chrono Odyssey is supposed to have no pay to win. Approximately 3 to 4 times it was repeated throughout that video. So that's it. That's all for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this information helped you in some way, and I hope that you are excited about the closed beta coming up once again June 20th through the 22nd, and you can register for that on Steam. Anyways, thank you so much. Please like or subscribe if you like my content, and I hope to see you guys next time.